You are listening to the Marc Guzman Podcast Experience. Before we get started, just a reminder that you can find all of my available rental properties on my website at marcguzman.com. If you own investment property, click on the Owner Services section to see our complete list of services. This episode and wine tasting is sponsored by Lenny Clark with Prime Lending. Lenny Clark is a loan officer specializing in residential home lending. He communicates with you every step of the way, and his honesty sets him apart from the rest. He's able to think outside of the box due to his experience and is able to tailor a loan program to fit your needs. If you can't qualify just yet, not a problem. He will let you know what you need to do in order to be ready. Lanny is also backed by Prime Lending, which is one of the biggest and fastest growing lending banks in the nation. They have simplified the home lending process down to 5 steps. And FYI, step number 5 is to relax and enjoy your new home. So contact Lenny Clark today at 510-964-0620. Music has different meanings to all of us. Each artist and each song carries their own small story. Each of those stories comes from somewhere. Today on the podcast, straight out of Pittsburgh, we have Dontae Blinks, a.k.a. Blinks, a.k.a. last name Blinks. Dontae's style music is a mix of feel-good with hip-hop. Today, we dive into what his music is about, what it means, and we bask in the victory of the Warriors dynasty, clinching another NBA title. So I wanted to come in, and I started looking at different management companies around the area, and everyone just sucked.
Yeah,
and a lot
especially
of old timers, and then no technology, like just
yeah,
a ton
no,
of
it's
stuff, right?
Yeah.
So I started looking more into it, and I said, "Hey, I can come in here and build something really good."
Mm-hmm.
And then, oh, you know what? We want to turn this down. Got an echo.
Oh, yeah.
Whoops.
Like, no, just turn the whole thing off.
Yeah. I just need to get up on Google Music. Yeah, so I started seeing the entire area, and I'm like, hey, I could do a much better job at this. And I can't tell you how many clients have come over to me simply because they found out I'm not an asshole to tenants.
Yeah.
You know, and
That's the number one thing.
yeah, and I've taken over buildings, and people are like, yeah, the last management company said I was garbage. They treated me like dirt.
Wow,
Or they'll walk in, and there's people at management companies that will be sitting down, drinking like coffee.
Yeah.
Tenants come in, waiting, and they're
still drinking the coffee.
and still drinking coffee,
Yeah.
not providing any customer service. So it was one of those where I was like, okay, this is going to be very easy.
Okay.
And now I launched my new company January 1st of this year. Started with basically zero because I left business with an old company, and then we're now at 430 units.
Wow, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. So we're expanding super fast.
Wow. I know, I saw you. Because I always have to do research when anything. So I looked you up, and I was like, wow. You have a lot of places.
Yeah, so I do property management really full time. That's my company's my baby, right?
Yeah.
And then the podcast we just started in August of last year.
Yeah.
So we're at 100. Is this going to be
128?
128. So we're knocking out a ton of episodes.
Yeah.
But I started doing this really for marketing, right? Because it's all evergreen content. And once it's out there, you never know who's gonna see it. I did a podcast with a loan officer back in September, and then a lady hits me up on Facebook about a month ago, and she's like, "Hey, I just listened to this podcast. What do you think of their bank?" I'm like, "Yeah, they do great loans and this and that. Do you want me to put you in touch with that loan officer?" "Yeah, sure." So I put him in touch, and now he's doing her loan. You know, so you just never know when someone's going to see a podcast or one of the episodes, because this goes on Facebook, YouTube. So you never know when someone's going to see it and then come back.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly. Build a relationship that way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, so I think we're live, right? Yeah, we've been rolling live.
Oh, okay.
So, Dontae or Blinks, what do you prefer?
Either or. It goes by. I go by Blinks musically, but Dontae's fine.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming on to the show.
Oh, thank you for having me.
And one thing that we like to do is do either wine tasting, drink a little bit of wine, or do beer tasting. And so today we've got white wine. Hopefully you like white wine.
The funny thing is I haven't drank in about, say, 3 years. Yeah, I only drink for special occasions. It's definitely a special occasion.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, no
we're breaking a big streak tonight.
No problem.
So it's La Crema Sonoma Coast Chardonnay. So this was actually provided by one of our sponsors, Lenny Clark with Prime Lending. So great loan officer in case you're ever interested in buying a house or buying investment property.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. This is actually one of the best wines that I've tasted.
Have you tried it already?
Yeah, definitely. It's really good.
That's really good.
Yeah.
I have to give it to Lanny. He does give us some really good wines. Like, what was that red wine he gave us with the congressman?
I'm totally spacing.
It started with an R, didn't it?
Red wine?
Yeah.
That starts with an R.
The red one.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get started here. And I found you on Instagram.
Okay.
And I was doing some research and came across some really good photography.
Okay.
And it's your photography.
Yeah.
I was really impressed with how you capture some of the photos. And really, like, the photograph I looked at was of a female that was posing, but the way you captured the background and how her image just popped out, I thought it was really good photography.
Thank you.
So I started looking to you a bit more and found out you're also a hip-hop artist.
Yes.
Yes. And so I found you, I then looked you up on Spotify, and I'm like, shit, this music is good.
Thank you.
So
much.
I'm like, okay, I got to hit him up and see if he'd be willing to come onto the podcast. So here we are.
Yeah, definitely. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah. So one thing I like to do is ask people what has your attention right now. So what's on your mind? It could be a book, it could be music, it could be something political, something out there. What's capturing your attention?
I want to say right now the industry, the music industry is capturing my attention. Just how it's changed over the years, because recently I went back, probably I guess to say, to my roots and listened to a lot of '90s music, because that's my era, I guess you could say. So
how old are you?
I'm 27. Actually.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was listening to all this I listened to a lot of '90s R&B music. And I compared it to like today's music, and you don't feel that same, feeling anymore. Like R&B music to me is a feeling. You have to feel the song in order to work, to hit home. And it just makes me wonder what experiences have changed in people to where they make the music now compared to how it was, an era before.
Now, what have you seen change, like, let's say, from the 90s to now?
Definitely how the industry, how labels work, first of all, because I feel back in the 90s you had artist development, where they would take an artist and they would mold that artist into an artist, rather than just you have your singer or your rapper, your producer who makes beats. They would take them under their wing. You would have your mentor, and I feel that now labels are just taking whoever they can, whoever's blowing up, whoever's popular, whoever's viral at the moment, and like, okay, let's capitalize off this person and make however much we can make off this person, and then let's move on to the next person. So I feel
just becoming like more of a machine then.
Yeah, most definitely. And I feel that you don't get the experience anymore. You're just in and you're out, which is why I see a lot more people going independent. Yeah.
Well, I think the whole independent part of the industry is so cool, because
yes, definitely.
Because before you had, I mean, the record labels were the gatekeepers.
Yes,
They had the money.
they
Were the ones that said, "Hey, look, we like your music. We're gonna
Yeah.
put you on. We don't like your music. Goodbye."
Yeah, bye.
Yeah, and you never got your music out there, right, to
Yeah.
the masses. And so now with the internet and how people can just put stuff on SoundCloud, Spotify themselves.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you're doing right now, right?
Yes. Then
Yeah.
that's a huge difference as well, because back in the 90s you couldn't do that. There was no app, there was no Spotify, the internet was not as big as it was, now, where you could just put something out and who knows, somebody might find it and like, hey, let's make a deal,
Back in the 90s, it took 10 seconds to download a 200 kilobyte photo, remember?
Oh my god. You're on Windows 98.
Yeah.
So now that you have that outlet to where you don't need a major label, like not needing a major label was probably one of the biggest things in music to me, because I felt like you needed a major label to really get your name out there. If you wanted to be overseas, if you wanted to be worldwide, you needed a label to push you out there, or at least a distribution deal,
I think, and I totally agree with you. And I think what we're seeing is a lot of the record labels are noticing how a lot of people are blowing up independently.
Yeah.
And so they can't afford to
Yeah.
put so much into artists, because if they do, many of their artists still bomb. And,
Yeah.
they might have a hit album and then that's it
That's
after.
it. Yeah.
Right? And so to be investing so much money into people and then that return is not coming out of it,
Yeah.
I can kind of see why they're systematizing some of it, but then the value drops
Yes.
of being on a record label, right?
Yeah,
and then
definitely.
being independent, being able to do your own thing, the
Yeah,
value
your
is so much
so
more.
high. Yeah, your value is so high because everybody's looking at you. Like, how did you do it? They want to know like what your process was. They want to know how you did it on your own, because labels feel like you need them to be a major artist, but you don't. Not in these days. I
Yeah.
feel that way.
I mean, where do you see the industry going in the next 5 to 10 years?
I feel like major labels will not be there anymore. I feel like it'll be, I won't say it'll be strictly independent. There'll still be that, that Universal or that Def Jam that's still out there, that's super big. But I just see a lot of new independent labels coming out, and I just see a lot of artists just managing themselves, or they have, a close friend managing them, or somebody that they really trust managing them, rather than like, hey, here's this guy who manages so and so and so and so and so and so, and now he's going to manage you. It's like, okay, how is he going to manage me when he's managing 37 other artists?
Mm-hmm.
When you have, this is the guy I've grew up with, I started music with, I trust this guy a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
So, you're going to start with that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, what's your team look like? Are you really doing everything yourself right now, or do you have a team?
Excuse me. My problem is I like to do everything myself.
Yeah.
So, I make all my beats. I edit my own stuff. I promote my own stuff. I make the artwork for it. I take my own pictures for the artwork. But I do have a team, and it's steadily growing, because before, I want to say about a year ago, I didn't have a team at all. It was just me, and I was wondering what I was going to do. But luckily, I met some great people within a year, and within a year, I've had 3 albums. So I can say I'm doing well with that team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as a upcoming artist, like, what are the different ways and techniques that you use to get your music out there? I mean, I know there's, you put it on, make a music video, put it on YouTube,
Yeah.
try to get on Spotify, SoundCloud, but I think it's a lot more than just putting content on these
Yeah.
channels, right?
Yeah, it's I try to be really symbolic with the way that I put things out, to try to have a message within a message, I guess, so to speak. The internet is definitely the number one thing nowadays. Like, you can just put something on the internet and who knows, you might blow up, you might wake up and you're viral tomorrow. But I just try to be really true to who I am when I put things out. I don't like to put out anything. I like to be very strategic with the way I put things out. Like, one thing I can say is on the last song, which people don't even know this. On the last song of my last album, it's called That's Bay, and it's spelled B-A-Y. My next album is actually called Bay, and it's spelled B-A-E-Y, as in like it's an ode to the Bay, but also a girl at the same time. So people actually won't realize until they get the album that the last song was actually a preview to the next album.
Okay.
Yeah. So
So you're making one continuous story with your music.
yes, that's one thing I like to do, is to continuously tell a story and be very symbolic about it. And it's hard because like back before it was just word of mouth. Like you just put it out there and you tell somebody who would tell somebody who would tell somebody. And now it's kind of like you have to be on top of your own stuff, because I make so much stuff that I'll just move on to the next thing really fast. So I'll forget about the thing before. So it's actually really hard because
But I think that's a good thing because
Yeah.
you're coming out with more and more content.
yeah, but you're not, at the same time, you're forgetting about the content that you have before, and which is, there's nothing wrong with the content you had before. It's just old stuff to me, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
So who knows, that old stuff could be the stuff that could, bring you up. And that's probably my hardest thing as an artist who makes all of his stuff, is keeping track of everything at the same time and making sure that everything gets equal attention. So yeah, it's a really hard process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess that's where the team comes into
That's
place
where
to
the
help
team
you
comes
really
in,
focus
yeah.
on probably distribution, huh?
Yeah, distribution is probably the biggest thing for me, because when it comes to making things, that's really easy for me because I experience a lot.
Mhm.
Like I write and tell and do all my stuff through experience. But when it comes to putting it out, it's like, okay, here it is, and then I just move on to the next thing. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, you got that. Here comes the next stuff. It's like, well, are you gonna show this to other people? It's like, well, you saw it, so what? Let's show the next thing. So I always forget to keep things going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's your origin story? How did you end up in photography and how did you end up in music?
I want to say I can't say it. It's probably not true, but I because who knows? You never know what you want to do as a kid.
Yeah.
But I want to say I always knew I wanted to do music. At least at the age of 11, I knew I always wanted to do music, because I would see artists, I would see producers like Dr. Dre and like Timberland and stuff like that. I was like, I always wanted to make beats like them. I always wanted to make hit songs like that. And then like I got really deep into R&B. So then it changed from making hit songs to I really just want to make people feel a certain way. My origin is at 16. I think I was at school, and I knew this guy. He made beats, and like have you ever heard of FL Studio?
No.
Okay, it was like one of the first like beat programs that like you could just put on a laptop and just make a beat.
Okay.
It's like before GarageBand and MacBooks, and how you could just easily make
Yeah.
a song on a laptop and a mic. So I knew that he made beats, so I was like, I need to be his friend. I need to get in with him somehow. So I knew friends of friends that like knew him. So I got in with those friends, became friends with those friends. Then I just straight up asked him, I was like, hey, how do you make your beats? He was like, I use, FL Studio. And I was like, so how can I get that off of you? He was like, give me $20 and I'll give you the program. And I was like, really? So I gave him $20. He gave me the program. So I just sat at home and I just started messing with it. And then that's how I became making beats. Then I knew a friend who rapped, so I just started giving him beats. Then I used to go to a friend, his name is Vinny. He just got married too. Congratulations to you. He had a studio at his house. So, and I didn't have a studio at my house. And my mom didn't want me to have a studio at my house.
Too much noise, right?
Yeah, too much. She wanted to sleep. So she was like, so I would go to his house, make beats over there. And then he had a friend who rapped, so he would come over, and then we all got together. And then one day he was like, I need a I need another person on this song. Would you get on this song? I never thought of rapping at the time, but I was like, let's just try it. So I rapped, and it was really good. I even remember the song. It was called Hella Hyphy.
I was just gonna ask you what was the name of the song.
It was called Hella Hyphy. It was back during the hyphy days where you just talked about going dumb. So we did that, and then all of a sudden they were like, you're really good at rapping. You should continue to rap. And I didn't think nothing by it until about 2 years later, where I think somebody asked me to do a show, and I performed, and then I thought, like, wow, I could really go somewhere with this. So that's the origin of music. How photography came in is pretty crazy. So after I started kind of getting established with music, I had a friend, she had a camera, and she didn't know how to use the camera, and she couldn't take pictures of herself. She didn't have a tripod. So she asked me, she's like, hey, can you take some pictures of me just really quick for like an album cover? I was like, sure, no problem. So I took the pictures, and they came out really well. She was like, this is really well. You should continue this. I was like, I don't have a camera. I'm broke. I don't have enough money to even afford to buy any type of equipment. So she was like, borrow my camera, practice, you can take pictures, do whatever. I was like, sure, okay, cool. So I was practicing with it, and I was like, wow, this is something I could get into. And so one day we're doing a show, and things got crazy, and she loses the camera. So she doesn't have a camera no more. So I'm like, wow, now I don't have a camera. Now I can't do this no more. So years pass, and I'm like, wow, I don't have a camera. So years pass, and then I'm like, you know what?
Smartphones come out, right?
Yeah, smartphones started coming out. It's funny. That's just what I was about to say. So the iPhone, I want to say 4S. Let's take it back a little. Let's take it back a little while. Came out, and at the time that was like the greatest camera on the phone and stuff. So I was doing photography on that phone. I did photo shoots with that phone, and then I just was like, let me save some money and get a real camera, and then I just pursued.
So
it
you were
from
just
there.
doing photographs for people you knew left and right.
Yeah, for people who just needed some photographs. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, is that like, did that turn into like an actual business for you now?
It is. I want to say it's in the process, because I'm still so focused on my music that I don't want to like venture off into something else to the point where I forget about my music. So it is a business, because I am like getting work for it now, but it's a side business, to put it that way.
And it complements your music, though.
Yes.
You can see, like...
Thank you.
Like, when... I can take a photo, but then when you have someone who really knows how to take a photo and then can do it with, like, art, like an artistic feel or look to it, and develop it's night and day, right? Yeah. And you can see that translate from your photos and into your music.
Thank you.
And so I think that was really cool. That's the one thing that really caught my eye when I discovered that you also did music, and then listening to your music, everything just flows from your photography to your music.
Thank you.
It's your brand, and you could tell that's what you do and that's who you are.
Yeah, and usually when I'm making a song, the vision comes first. So I'll have a video before I'll have the song. And
What do you mean you'll have a video before the song?
I'll have the visual to the video before I even have the song finished. Okay. Just because I'll start with a thought, and that thought will always become it usually becomes visual before it becomes audio to me. Or I'll have a hook to a song, but not the full complete song, and then like something visual will come up, and then that's where I go off and finish the song. And I also recently started doing my own videos too.
What's the process for like writing a song for you?
I just have to feel something. I either have to feel something or I have to experience something. Luckily I'm not boring, so I experience enough to where I probably will never stop, writing, because something is always happening. It's probably not as spontaneous as your life, but I could say it's pretty spontaneous enough to where if something happens, I have to just write that down.
Yeah.
It usually starts with just a feeling.
So I'm always curious, like, how musicians put lyrics together, though, because, okay, I go through something, but to put it down on paper is extremely hard for me.
Okay.
And then to make it rhyme even more, like, and then add music to it, like, okay, I fall apart in step number one. So, like, how do you coordinate putting lyrics together within music? You mentioned that you have the video idea in your head first.
Yeah.
So how do you combine the lyrics and the music into that image that you have in your head?
It's hard. First of all, it's very hard because
I mean, how long does it take you to write?
it takes a while. When I first started, it was really quick. I could write a song in like 20 minutes, but I think that was just because I was just wanted to write a song. But now that I'm putting so much feeling and like just personal experience into it, sometimes it takes a month to write a song because I want it to be that, personal to where like I feel like I need to experience more just to finish the song. So it's a very hard process because it takes a lot of time. Because you have to. Well, I usually start with the visual first, and then the beat comes, and then the lyrics. So I don't get to the lyrics last. So when I start with the visual, usually I reference it to a different song first, because usually when I get visuals, it's more like a music video type of visual. So I usually get like just something that you could already put a song to, and it'll like flow throughout, and it'll just seem like a music video. But it's hard because I listen to a lot of different music. So picking the style is probably one of the hardest things, because when you have a visual, there's no genre yet. You know, it's kind of just visual of silence. So you have that, and then you have.
Do you try to mix like different genres?
Oh yes, definitely. Yes, definitely. I want to say is one of the things that sets me apart from artists in the Bay. Because I listen to neo soul, I listen to a lot of dubstep, I listen to a lot of trance, I listen to a lot of rap, I listen to a lot of R&B. Rap actually isn't even my favorite genre. R&B is. It's actually my third favorite genre. Hip hop is. And
what's your second?
My second is house music, actually.
Okay.
Yeah. And hip hop almost might be my fourth, because I'm really starting to like neo soul, and I differentiate it from R&B. It's different to me. But it's just a really hard process to combine everything. I want to say the easiest way to combine everything is just listening to music. That's what I do. That's just how I do it. Just listen to other songs.
Kind of blend it all together.
Yeah, kind of blend it together, yeah. Just listen to songs, reference from there. I wouldn't say I take a lot from other artists, but I definitely reference a lot of artists. Yeah.
Now, you brought a couple CDs with you, right?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, let's check them out here.
These are my last two albums.
Okay. And I know Feel Good Music, great album, came out this year. Yeah. What about Chill? Was that last year or this year?
Chill was last year, October, I want to say. October, I want to say. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, I mean, Feel Good Music is really the first album I listened to. Yeah. And I was like, damn, this is like some legit good music. And it's very different because you think of when someone mentions Bay Area music, right? You think of old school Mac Dre,
yes,
Andre Nicotine.
Yeah, you think of E40.
Exactly, E40, yeah. And that's what you think of. Yeah. But the Bay Area music's evolved a lot since then.
A lot.
And,
so much.
Yeah, and you're starting to see completely different, and basically how the Bay Area is becoming, and has been for a while, a melting pot of so many diverse communities and ethnicities, you're now starting to see that really develop and really showcase itself in music.
Yes, and it's funny because you see the artists that are in the limelight now, like you see a G-Eazy. I don't even really see him as a Bay Area artist because like his style, like he has Bay Area type songs, some like here and there, but that's not his style. It's like he's, I want to say, a mainstream artist, and when you hear the Bay Area, you don't really think mainstream. Like Bay Area has its own like underground type sound.
Yeah.
Like once you hear it, you're like, okay, that's a Bay song right there. And yeah.
Now, for your songs, you talk about inspiration from events you've experienced.
Yes.
Right? Can you give us an example of how one song developed from an experience?
I can give you.
Yeah, like something on feel good music.
I can give you one of my most recent events. Well, I can for No Fear, the song I have with my sister Liv. That is definitely based from just what's going on now within like between like police brutality and our presidency and the events like that, all the tragic events that happen in places like Puerto Rico and in Orlando and in Vegas and things like that. Like I wouldn't say I experienced those personally because I wasn't there, but to see those things is definitely an experience. So that's one way I could say of an experience. Another way is I recently wrote a song about my grandfather who passed away. He was basically like my grandfather and my father because I actually never met my father. So it's basically like I lost two people in one. So there's a lot of different not songs, but just lyrics in different songs on the album that reference to him. And that was a huge experience for me because I've never lost someone that tragic. So it definitely hit home for me. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we sourced out a few questions here from people on Facebook prior to the podcast.
Okay.
And so one of the questions is, what challenges can come from trying to get your music out there?
Well, being different is definitely a challenge because nobody wants to hear that really. They want to hear what's mainstream and what's hot right now. So, especially in the Bay Area. So, one challenge for me is my sound is not completely different from Bay Area artists, but from the artists that are out right now and that are big and that people know of, it's very different. Like they're way more aggressive, they're way more in your face, and it's much like the Bay Area scene right now is more of that in your face, hit hard.
Yeah, you
lyrics.
have a much smoother tone to it.
Mine is much more smoother, and I use ambient sound, so I'm much more laid back, and I use a lot more melody in my music. So one thing is it's really hard to get people to listen to different things, to things that they have not heard before. So that is definitely the biggest challenge for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just trying to convince them that
to just expose themselves to different types of music.
Yeah,
right?
especially being a new artist because new artists, they just call you a SoundCloud rapper or something.
Yeah.
So to get that is, first of all insulting, and you don't want to be put in that category. So it's just proving yourself, I guess.
Yeah. What do you think of all the mumble rap going on? I know there's a big debate, two sides.
The funny
to this.
thing is, I know you just heard me, but at the same time, I also respect it because they're doing something new and they're getting out there. Like I definitely wouldn't do it myself, but the fact that they're getting out there and they're getting people to listen is, you got to respect it. They have a different type of grind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So another question we have is, what do you do to get your music out there? And I assume this comes down to distribution.
Yeah. So the first thing I do is I set a deadline for the whatever project I'm doing at the time, and I leave at least a week or two for promotion. So that's the first thing I do. The second thing I do is the internet first. You gotta hit your apps, your Instagram, your Spotify, your Snapchats. You got.
Are you on Facebook too?
Yeah, I'm on Facebook. And then it's just I just go out. I like to go out to places and get my music out. I still think that going out and people seeing your face is one of the most powerful ways to get your name out there. So if I hear of an event or something that sounds like my music would be accepted there, I have to go there. So yeah, getting out there is one of the biggest things.
Okay, so just being face to face with
just
people.
Being out there.
Yeah. What was the last event you did?
What was the last event I did? I did. That would probably be the fashion show I did. I did a fashion show at the Sun Valley Mall in Macy's. That was so fun to do, and people were just so
Did Macy's
supportive.
put that together, or they just hosted the venue?
Fun fact: I work at Macy's.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was they just found out I did music. They were like, "Hey, would you like to perform?" I was like, "Sure, yeah." And Empire Barbershop sponsored it. Also, the UFC gym in Concord sponsored it.
Pretty big. That
Empire's
barbershop.
pretty big, yeah.
I know a few people that go there.
Yeah, they're in the mall too as well, the same mall. And I met Derek, the owner. He's a great guy. One more person sponsored it as well, but yeah, it was a great show.
Yeah. Basketball fan too. Been watching the
Love
Warriors.
Love it. I'm so mad I missed the parade.
Oh, you didn't go to the parade?
I missed it. I had to work. Almost had to call out. I was like, oh, I'm feeling ill.
What's been your best moment of the season so far?
Man, that's tough. It was such a crazy season. So much turmoil. Probably it has to be with the Rockets. That series between the Rockets was just the finals, pretty much to me.
Typically, whenever I ask like a Warriors fan, what's been your best moment, and they just said sweeping LeBron.
See, I'm used to that now. No, I'm kidding. I actually, at this point in time, I had to respect LeBron now for what he's done for 15 years and for what he's done this year alone.
And putting up with J.R. Smith.
Yeah, and having to put up with J.R. Smith for so long. And he lost his best buddy, Dwayne Wade. And, like, you have to give it up to him. I don't know if I could put him over Jordan, but he's up there.
Yeah.
For me, yeah.
That's a whole nother big debate. Like,
Yeah.
Who's better, Jordan, LeBron, or Jordan, or Kobe, right?
Yeah.
But it's different times.
It's a
back
different,
then.
it's a different era, and then you got to see like
There is a funny video on YouTube if you ever get a chance to watch it, where they're like, the debate between Jordan and Kobe is not even a debate. Hands down, Kobe's the best of all time, because they're like, look at what Jordan. They're like, look at who Jordan had to compete against, and it's video after video of. And I know they're nitpicking on videos, but it's video of Jordan like running through like just a ton of people that didn't just back off. Like there's no defense. They just back off. They're like, okay, he's gonna score. Let's watch him. Right?
Well, I actually don't even put LeBron over Kobe yet. The reason why is because of that season where Kobe he averaged like 32 points, and his second best player was I think Lamar Odom. So like, and they won the ring that year, and you see LeBron, he gets swept when he has a team like that, or when he tried when he was like a rookie or in the beginning and he still couldn't make it. So he hasn't leaped over Kobe yet because Kobe took probably one of the worst teams that could go to a finals and won a ring with that team. So I can't put him over Kobe yet. And plus, I'm just a huge Kobe fan. It's my favorite player of all time.
My theory is if you're a Warrior fan, you're just going to assume that Kobe's better because, I mean, how many times over his career do we watch him just eviscerate the Warriors.
Yeah.
I mean,
oh my God.
that man did some horrid, unnatural things to the
Yeah,
Warriors.
he did
back when they were terrible. It was.
Yeah, he was a meanie to us. And I don't even know if you guys saw that recent meme where not even meme, but Bob Myers offered Kobe kind of like a joking contract. I think it was like this week. He offered him a joking contract, like if he wanted to come back, he should come to the Warriors. I was like, I would cry real tears if I saw Kobe on the Warriors.
So Hall of Famers, all-time best basketball players. Where do you see Stephen Curry at?
We're talking all-time ever or all-time shooters?
Yeah. Well, both.
Well, I see him as the greatest shooter of all time. He will go down as the greatest shooter of all time because you see what he's done he's changed the league more than LeBron's changed the league. Because you see people pulling up from half court now, like they weren't doing that before.
And that was crazy. Like he makes it look so easy.
Yeah, he
like,
just pulls
he's
up
like,
and he's like,
from half.
And he won't even look at the rim. He'll look at a teammate like he's gonna pass it and then just shoot it and then it'll go in, swish.
Well, there's people that say if you watch Stephen Curry practice every single day, one of the things he does
Stephen Curry.
It's like takes so many different shots.
Yeah.
Like 3-point shots just over and over and over again.
Yeah, I watched a workout of his, and even his dribbling workouts are crazy. Like how he does with things that he does with two balls in his hands, like he has to cross. Like I can barely dribble in my left hand with one ball. Like that's hard. And like his layup drills are crazy. Like everything he does are super intense. Like I always wonder how players in the 90s would be if they had the same kind of, drills and technology that we have now. You see people in like chambers now recovering and it's just crazy type of
and that's a good point too because the technology for
it's
body
crazy.
recovery.
You can recover so much faster now, and even the shoes, because you see Jordan playing in like I cannot play in Jordans. Jordans are not to play basketball in. Even though they are considered a basketball shoe, there's no padding in it. And then you play in some like LeBrons or some Currys. Oh my God, you're jumping out the sky. Yeah. Like it's crazy. So I just wonder how. I wonder if Charles Barkley would have won a ring or not.
Yeah. Are you going to start incorporating the Warriors into your music?
Oh, I do all the time. It's funny because on my Chill album, I have a girl in a Kobe jersey, but I talk about the Warriors constantly. I make so many references. Like my passwords are Warriors players' names, like even to log into things. Like that's how much of a Warriors fan I am.
So living in the Bay Area. You mentioned earlier you originally came from Pittsburgh. Mm-hmm. You're in Martinez now. So what are probably your top 2 food spots to go to in the Bay Area?
Man, that is hard because I go to so many. I recently just changed the way I eat too as well.
What do you mean?
I wouldn't say I'm not a vegetarian, but just like I don't eat red meat anymore. So I just changed slightly in a way, but it's hard because I don't know if you've ever been to Lumpy's in Pittsburgh.
No, I haven't.
Oh my God, they have the best burgers, man. You gotta go. Lumpy's and Diggers. It's owned by the same person. Diggers is in Concord, but Lumpy's is in Pittsburgh. They have one in Pittsburgh, and I think they have one in Brentwood as well. But those are the 2 best places to get like a quick bite.
Good burger.
Definitely good for breakfast. If you want some good breakfast, go there.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's your favorite go-to fun spot?
Just to have fun.
Yeah.
Oh, it's it's hard because I just go to San Francisco for that, which is pretty broad to say, but to sum it down, Market Street is probably the best place just to go because you never know what you're going to get on Market Street.
That's so
just go there and experience something,
Yeah. And then what's been like the best part for you living in the Bay Area? I mean, would you move out of the Bay Area?
I think about that all the time because I would definitely move to Santa Monica just because I love Santa Monica a lot. Santa Monica is such a beautiful place to me. One of the best places I've been to. But it's so hard because the Bay Area is just, the culture here is just so great. Like I don't think you could ever get a culture like the Bay Area anywhere else. Maybe in Michigan because they are very similar to us.
Really?
But yeah, Detroit is very similar in culture to us. I could say like we're distant cousins in a way. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But it would be so hard to leave just the culture because it's a beautiful. The people are just so beautiful out here.
Yeah, it's a melting pot.
Yeah.
Really.
Yes. Definitely.
Yeah, and that's like the Bay Area. It has like its beautiful areas.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of areas outside on this planet that are way better, more beautiful than the Bay Area. But it's not the Bay Area.
Yeah, it's
everyone
the culture.
says that.
Yeah, it's because you go to San Francisco. There's so many things under construction there that has been under construction for so long, but it's just something about the culture that you love, and I always meet somebody new when I go out to places like SF.
Especially Market Street.
Yeah, exactly. You don't know what kind of people you're going to meet, but you'll meet somebody. Or if you go to Berkeley, like Berkeley, that's a huge melting pot.
Yeah.
Like that's one of the biggest melting pots to me. You always meet somebody like super creative out there too.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't know that Berkeley too has a lot of amazing restaurants. A lot of very small little tiny places.
Yeah.
But incredible food.
Yeah.
And I really think Berkeley food really competes with San Francisco food.
Oh yeah, definitely. Because Top Dog was so good to me. Man.
R.I.P. Top Dog.
Yeah, I know, right? Like that makes me so sad.
Replacing it with a vegan restaurant, though, I think was the most Berkeley move ever.
Really? What did they get replaced with?
It's like
I didn't know it got replaced.
It's a vegan kind of.
Yeah, Berkeley's
tofu
got
place.
a ton of vegan, vegetarian places
Yeah, they do.
now.
They do.
But I've eaten at several of them, and they're so good.
You don't even taste like vegan, huh?
No, it doesn't. Like fake chicken meat and like it's like but
tofu.
You taste it, you're like,
this
okay,
isn't fake
this
at all.
tastes
Are you
like
sure?
chicken, and it's really not chicken.
Have you been to Solely Vegan in I think it's Jackson Square in Oakland?
Not there.
That was the first vegan place I've ever been to.
Do you like it?
I go all the time. I love that place, and I told myself I would never be like a vegan, or I would never eat like a vegan. I would never do it, and I probably won't. But I will go to Solely Vegan because it just doesn't taste like vegan food. It tastes like everything just tastes official, you know.
Yeah.
It doesn't taste like you're eating fake chicken, I guess you could say.
Yeah, and a lot of that like vegan, vegetarian food really tends to be fresh.
Yeah,
because
really fresh.
Yeah, it's not like frozen meats at some restaurants package it, and
they're
put it in the
microwave real quick.
Yeah. That's the worst, like microwave, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, Dontae, thanks for being on the podcast here.
Thank you so much.
We're going to link you up on the description, Facebook, all the different channels. What's the website if people want to find out more, and your Instagram tag name?
Last name Blinks for pretty much everything. So lastnameblinks.com is my official website. And for Instagram, Twitter, I think Facebook as well, it's just last name Blinks.
Perfect.
Yeah.
We'll get everything linked up. Again, thanks to Lanny Clark for providing us the wine.
Delicious.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we've got a little bit of wine, so we'll probably finish it up
here
as we cut off. So again, thanks for being on the podcast.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. Thank you to our producer, Sam Lubin. Please subscribe, like, comment, and share the podcast. Remember, you can listen to the podcast on iTunes, Podbean, iHeartRadio, Google Play, SoundCloud, and anywhere else you listen to podcasts. For more information on my business as a property manager and real estate team, go visit my website at marcguzman.com. I really want to thank all of you for listening. It means the world to me, and I hope today's episode provides you value in your day-to-day life. I created this podcast to help showcase the many great people that live in this world and help share some knowledge that I've learned along the way in life. Again, thank you for listening. Check out our sponsors, and I'll catch you on the next episode.